Hi, Dr. Stephen Stokes, Advanced Pain Solutions. I want to talk a bit today about a chapter from my book, Heal Yourself. I want to talk about hormones. When you're talking about healing and overall health, hormones are the secret. Hormones are everything. And the first thing you need to do is test your hormones. There's a company called ZRT Labs. They will send you, that's ZRT Labs. They'll send you a kit. You don't need a medical prescription to do this. You can get all your hormone levels tested very inexpensively, find out where the problems lie, and then you can target those areas. But in the meantime, there are a couple of things you can do right away, regardless of your deficiencies, that'll make a huge difference in your life. The first thing is going to be progesterone, and this is for men and for women. So if you're a guy and you think you don't need progesterone, you're wrong. Progesterone is basically the anti-estrogen, and so for men, estrogen dominance is a big problem. And it can lead to things like prostate cancer. So you don't want estrogen in your body. And applying a progesterone cream, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of progesterone cream, and the cream you get, you're going to want to have about 500 milligrams of progesterone per ounce. That's a good normal cream. A lot of these creams, you get 2 ounces with 1,000 milligrams of progesterone, just so you can work out the numbers. Anyways, you want 1/8 of a teaspoon. You want to apply it to your body 5 times out of 7 a week. So 5 days out of 7 days a week, you apply it, you put it on an area of skin where it'll be absorbed easily, wrist, neck, chest, under here, stomach, just so it gets in your system. You're going to want to do that. And that's going to make a huge difference in protecting you from estrogen dominance. You're just going to do it do it 5 days a week. If you're a woman, it becomes a little more complicated. Easier if you're postmenopausal. So if you're postmenopausal, then it's very simple. You're going to use about 1/4 of a teaspoon in the same areas, and you're going to do that 2 weeks every month. For 2 weeks every month, you're going to apply 1/4 teaspoon. You're going to do that, and that's going to make a huge difference to you. If you're premenopausal, it gets a little more complicated again. Premenopausal, you're going to want to apply the same amount, maybe a little more. Probably go with 1/2 teaspoon of progesterone cream. And you're going to apply this in your cycle between day 12 and day 26. So premenopausal, you're going to cycle it. You're going to cycle it between day 12 and day 26 if day 1 of your cycle. So day 1 would be the first day of the period. So you're going to go between day 12 and day 26 in your cycle. You're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of progesterone cream and apply it to thin skinned areas like the wrists, the chest, under the arm, the belly, those areas. That stuff's going to be amazing for you, and you can use it regardless of what your levels are. It's not something that's going to hurt you to start using right away. The other big thing is going to be melatonin. You're going to want to take between 1 and 5 milligrams of melatonin half an hour before bed. You're going to want to do that every single day. You got to find out what dose works for you. Now, when people think of melatonin, they're thinking about sleeping, right? But melatonin does so much more. So melatonin protects the cellular DNA. So that means your exposure to things like microwaves, radiation from the sun, toxins. Melatonin is the way that you're going to protect the cellular DNA so that your DNA doesn't get screwed up and tell your body to, make cells incorrectly. That's what cancer would be. So melatonin is a big deal. 1 to 5 milligrams of melatonin every day, half an hour before bed. Start low dose and then work your way through it. There was a study done on mice. You can Google it and see. It's an amazing research study where basically they gave mice melatonin, and what they found was they lived longer. They lived about 30% longer. So just imagine the difference between living, say, to the time you're 75 years of age versus living to being 100. It's a big deal, right? That extra 25-30% can make all the difference. So you definitely want to start taking melatonin. The other thing is that you need to do some simple things like reduce sugar intake. And artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, they're just as bad. NutraSweet, you don't want to use those. I'll talk about those at a later time. But for now, just basically reduce sugar. Sugar is the anti-growth hormone. The more sugar you intake, the less your growth hormone kicks in, and the more depleted you're going to be. So just start reducing sugar in your daily diet. That's going to help a lot. Get lots of sleep. I mean, you literally want to get, like the old story goes, you want to get lots of sleep, especially if you're injured or in pain. Sleep is where your body makes growth hormones. Sleep is where you're going to heal. So make sure you're getting lots of sleep to have a healthy hormone system, right? And then the final thing is have lots of sex. So you've got to have sex to stimulate the system. If you're by yourself, you don't have a partner, then you can still have lots of sex, but you have to have it with yourself. More on that later. But you want to stimulate the system. That's the key. Stimulate the system. There's a great folktale in this area in Southwest Florida about a guy called Cap Monroe. And Cap Monroe is very popular around here. And he was basically a very eccentric guy that lived down the Everglades. And he lived to be 135 years of age. And he claimed that the reason he lived was because he drank a tea, a special tea from native Floridian plants. And what it ended up being was Spanish moss. And so he would take Spanish moss, make a tea, and drink this. And he lived to be 135. And Spanish moss is pretty nasty. And it really harbors a lot of little bugs and things. So if you're going to get into this, I mean, really do your research. But Spanish moss does have high levels of chlorophyll, minerals. There's some B vitamins. There's some vitamin E. The bottom line is that when they analyzed Spanish moss, they came to the conclusion that it really helped to stimulate the hormonal system. And that is what they're saying possibly led to his longevity, 135 years. So, good luck. A couple of quick tips. Get yourself tested with ZRT Labs. Any more questions, just email me. But in the meantime, progesterone, right? Melatonin, sleep, right? Reduce the sugar, have lots of sex. Thank you. We'll talk again soon.